So today I want to talk about a sort of perspective we can take on mental health that reminds us not to just focus on fixing the negative, but also tuning towards the positive. When we talk about mental health, that's often consciously or subconsciously, we're really talking about fixing something that feels broken or that feels bad. And that's important, right? Stopping the negative stuff, trying to work through it, all that uncomfortable, painful stuff. But if we don't complement that with amplifying and tuning towards the positive, we're really missing an important part of the equation. So I want to talk about that a little bit today and how by tuning towards positivity and making time for it, we can increase all the good stuff, not just tamp down on the bad stuff. Flow, happiness, gratitude, contentment, all of those things. So we're going to go through an exercise today that's a really super simple but evidence-based way to increase positive focus and noticing positivity in your life. And it's been shown it's called the 3 good things exercise. It's been shown to not just increase positive mood, but actually to help promote healthful activities. So, when you are focusing more on the positive, you're more likely to make positive health choices. And lowering some of the negative feelings as well. It also increases gratitude and other senses and feelings around well-being. So it's a really great exercise. Before we jump into it, I want to start with the 4-7-8 breathing technique, which you might have heard me speak about before. I talk about it a lot because it's very effective. It's really good at bringing ourselves we use this breath to bring ourselves down to a place of calm, and really being more receptive as well. So that's why I'd love to start with the 4-7-8 breathing technique. And this is, again, as I mentioned, a very simple technique. The 4-7-8 simply reminds us of the pace of breathing. We breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and then exhale for 8. It gets a little more specific than that, and you want to repeat it at least 4 times. So the specificity comes when you're breathing in, you close your mouth and you're breathing in quietly through your nose for that count of 4. Like that, right? And then you're holding that breath for 7 seconds, or really as long as you can comfortably do so. Shoot for 7, but really you don't want to make yourself uncomfortable. So, build slowly to 7 if you can't do it right away. So you're holding for 7, and then here's another specific aspect of this breathing technique. You exhale for a count of 8, but you do so through your mouth now. Ooh, that was a little louder. I thought it doesn't have to be that loud, but you're exhaling like you're blowing out a candle for 8-second count. And that's 1 turn. You repeat that 3 more times. And after 4 breaths, for these breathing cycles, our parasympathetic or rest and recovery parasympathetic nervous system is activated. So that means rather than our fight, flight, sympathetic nervous system being on overdrive, the parasympathetic is coming to the fore. And this breathing technique, because it's literally activating that system, as parasympathetic rest and recovery goes up, the sympathetic has to go down. They're in this constant dynamic tension and balance. So by increasing the rest and recovery aspect of our nervous system, we're calming ourselves, but we're also deactivating some of that fight and flight when we get into that frenetic feeling that can make us really make it hard to focus on other things. So let's just take a couple moments. Please take a couple moments for yourself. I'm going to go through 3 more breathing cycles. So we'll do a complete set of 4, and then we'll move on to the 3 positive things exercise. So I'm going to start now inhaling. Okay, so that was the 3 repetitions for me. What I noticed, and you may notice yourself, is that exhale is really important because we have to get all of the oxygen out of our lungs, get fully exhaling happening so that we have room for that inhale and then can hold more comfortably for the 7 count. So make sure you have the sensation almost like your those lungs are completely emptying from the bottom up. And sometimes you can even use your diaphragm and kind of push out that extra little breath when you're making the 8. Keep trying to push out that breath. You want the out breath to be twice as long as your in breath. So if you do find that you have to work up to this count, you could inhale for 3, hold a little shorter, and then exhale for 6. So if you can't quite do the 4-7-8 breathing technique comfortably yet, don't worry. The important thing is to have the inhale be half the time of the exhale. It still activates your rest and recovery nervous system, and you will, after practice, be able to build up to that 4-7-8. Okay, so hopefully that was a nice, calming breath experience for you. And now let's go on to the 3 good things exercise. Now, this is an exceedingly simple exercise in many ways. It just takes consistency. And it takes a little practice because at first it might be a little tricky to find those 3 good things. But let me talk through it, and then we can always discuss some of the details of it after if you wish. So at the end of every day, and the end of every day is the best because you're really looking back on the day prior, set aside just 5 or 10 minutes to look back on that day. And write down, or maybe I love to do this actually at the dinner table with my family, write down or say 3 good things that went well for you that day. And it's not enough to just say, oh, for maybe your kid says, I got an A on a test. Or I might say, oh, I got that assignment in that was under deadline and, felt really good to get it in. It's okay. It's good to notice those things. But then the trick is to really reflect on how those things increase the positives in your life. So maybe you got that A on your test, but it increased the positives because you realized that you really had learned a lot and mastered that material, and it prepared you for some of the other things that you were going to have to learn for the remainder of the semester. Or you can see how once you dig into why something was good, you start to see all the positive ripple effects, and you start to also tune into what you value and what's important to you in life. So it's a really nice opportunity, just taking that 5 or 10 minutes to dig into why was this thing good. It also alerts us to the fact that sometimes the good things, even in a really crappy day, they can be really small. They can be a small kindness of a stranger, or someone held the door for you, and it just maybe that was one of the only good things that seemed to happen. But it sends you down this process of really thinking about why you value that, why that is good, why it increased some positives in your life. So again, these good things can be big or small. It really doesn't matter at all if they're major or minor life events. And one of the big points here is to create a regular habit of noticing and appreciating these positives in your life. And that's why if you can do it every day, or almost every day, don't be hard on yourself if you miss a day because it was, a wild and wacky day, but really shoot for consistency. And what this starts to do is noticing the positives, noticing the delight actually gets easier. And you start to see it where you never thought to look for it before. So this practice not only helps us engage in things and thinking about what we value, in increasing positive mood, but it actually shifts your perspective on the world and the kinds of good things and things that you're grateful for in your life. You start to notice them more and process them more in a way that really has downstream benefits. And the more you notice, the more you tend to see and invite into your life. So that's the exercise. We can, if we have some questions now, we could certainly talk about them. But if we want to take just a few minutes together to write down some of these positive things for ourselves, we can do that too. So I'm going to stop the recording, and then we can talk a little bit more about that.